Hello, Karen and Roy. This is the Strategic Planning Committee, Town of Eastham, Friday, February 28th, 2025. 22. Yes. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 through the town website at www.eastham-ma.com. Welcome people in person and on Zoom. I think this is it. So we can begin. I can try and take some notes today. I'll be the minutes taker.
Well, it's hard to run the meeting and take the
Yeah,
notes.
Okay.
I think that's
Well, we're
hard,
kind of relying on the Zoom generated
right.
minutes.
Oh, you
it's a
are?
new feature, so
Oh,
I-
okay, wow.
I'll be happy to take a Zoom
I mean,
notes.
that would be great too.
Yeah.
But we'll-
Okay,
That's what I did last time.
yeah, you did, no, that was great.
And if you can't run the meeting and take
Okay.
notes, it's hard.
Well, thank you
I'm
then.
happy to help.
Okay, we're gonna have other minutes. We want to make sure we're in compliance. Minutes. So opening statements is number 1 on the agenda. Does anybody have any? I'll try and look up there to you guys on Zoom so I don't miss anything.
I'll just say on the minutes, Stacy in my office is catching up on the backlog, so we're plugging away at the sheet. She has a bunch that I ready, I just forgot to get them from her, so next meeting we'll have a bunch to distribute beforehand. They're gonna be very short and sweet and concise, because there's a lot to catch up. Get there.
Okay, thank you. All right. Nothing else there. Discussion and review of the latest draft strategic plan. So I did send out 2 documents to everybody and we'll get to them. One of them is the actual plan that Paul's gonna help walk us through. The other one is kind of the summary of the plan with some verbiage around it, something that we could include in the warrant, that we could publish, that we could put on the website. We can discuss that. But that's what the 2 different documents are. So one is actually a working document that will be used and updated and be living. And the other one is a summary that tries to provide some context around how the document was developed and what the next steps are. So any questions before we jump into reviewing those 2 documents or comments from anybody?
Not here.
No? Nope. Nope, nope. Okay, in that case, do you want to go over the plan and we can review it and people can offer thoughts if they have any, and then we'll move on to the second, the summary document? It's one, and they obviously one after the other, so one was just cut and pasted from one to the other, so. And then we're gonna also discuss kind of what the process is for this group and going forward. So we'll get there, but first step, let's take a look at the plan.
So again, this is not what the final plan is gonna look like as far as layout and everything. I mean, it'll be these matrices, charts, but we'll do a little graphic design work on it, but essentially still guiding principles, goals are the same. And then I think last time we talked about was reorganized, kind of put these strategic focus areas in our attempt to really simplify the document. So these have not changed since last time. And yeah, this is just, so I'll get cleaned up, but I've tried to just put these notes in here so that the shorthand for everything that's going to be referenced in the part below. I continue to meet with staff to fine tune these action items. There's nothing really significant that's changed in them, other than I'm just trying to go through and fill in all these boxes. So again, we're at the action steps, committee assigned for the responsibility assignments, general timeframes, our cross-referencing of other plans, and then whether there's funding allocated or not, and then status, and then and this is all related to funding categories and status. So I've just completed is obviously completed, not started. We're trying to differentiate between in process, ongoing, and pending, because there's some things that, some of these actions are never gonna end, because they're just gonna be. Then obviously some things are started with an anticipated end date, so that's just to kind of clue everyone in on how these things are structured. I'll just go over this again, just so everyone remembers. So some of the, some of these action items are really just placeholders. So the open space OSRP plan update, for example, it's just one action item, which is just simply finish the plan. And this, I'll just kind of preview. The idea is that once that plan is completed, the group that has worked on that can bet like what out of that plan, action recommendations should be promoted into the strategic plan, whether it's the highest priority or just things that logically have to happen one before another. And so that opens up an opportunity for the group that works on the plan to interact with this committee and for a system of updating the plan, which we can talk about the logistics of that after, but that's kind of like the setup of this. So open space rec plan, the climate plan, there's a few other ones that are like that here again. So it's just finish the plan and then placeholders for however many things get added in after a vetting process. But again, nothing's really changed other than I continue to fill in these other boxes and I'm almost done. Just kind of circle back a few more. Staff, I'm waiting to hear back mostly from DPW. Some things scroll down. Some things on the facilities, waiting to hear back from DPW about whether or not what I have in here is gonna actually is on a actual plan somewhere that should be included. So service for public restrooms and things like that, mostly related to the ADA access plan. If those are things that are actually gonna realistically be happening in the next 5 years or not. I'm trying to gauge that, and then some things with the some of the roadway projects. So that's kind of it on the matrix. Yeah, I'm just trying to fill in these missing boxes. We're standing wrapped up. And I'm waiting to hear back from the town manager on a few things because she had staffing and communication. Because she has developed the whole communication plan, and I've just put pieces in that I thought were relevant, so I'm just waiting for her to get that, make sure what should be, items she thinks should be in there. So I guess the plan itself, these charts need to be finished up and then we would get this into whatever final format, look and layout it would have. But basically, I envision that we would have title page, table of contents, executive summary, go through an explanation of the update process and why, changes to the structure of the plan, and so forth. The process that we went through. The charts are the meat and potatoes, the whole plan. And there's appendices with glossary of acronyms and all that kind of stuff. And then that would really be the plan. It would be a lot shorter, more concise than the current plan. And then probably a section where we just talk about the update process, which we have to work through. But here's how the plan will continue to be maintained, updated, with the thought that this will be more of a live living plan, not wait 5 years to do it, but that gets into our process discussion about how things get come in and out of the plan as things get accomplished. So I'll stop there. If anyone wants to go over specifics of what's in the chart or anything, I have to do that.
So let's go over specifics, but I do want to put out there after we hear from everybody. And maybe this is in what you've already done working with Jackie, but how it's actually going to be. Like, is this gonna go to staff meetings? Like, how,
Why don't we finish the
Yeah.
specifics first and then make
yes,
that
I
the agenda
agree, so
item?
yes. Okay, so let's go to the comments first, to whoever has comments. And then we'll come back and talk about how we make sure that this is a useful document. So, do you have comments you want to start with?
Just a couple. A general one, Paul, a couple places it talks about zoning. Some of it is zoning that's District E residential, but some of it relates to what the North Eastham work is. And so I was thinking that just be sure that under strategic focus area 2.2, that's residential, but there was another place.
2.2 is commercial and residential.
Right. And so do we need implement form-based zoning codes? Do we also need to include the North Eastham work in that sentence?
I think that's covered in 2.1.
Yeah, it's in there.
I separated that because.
Okay.
Like Northeast.
All right, I got it. All right.
Huge thing under
got it.
itself.
But is the way to describe the zoning? That one says complete form-based code zoning, but it's not all just form-based code, it's other things too. Maybe that's what I was trying to get at. And not saying or saying very clearly under 2.1, that first sentence.
Well, I guess number one is trying to encapsulate just what we're in the middle of doing right now.
Yeah, okay. I just
And
didn't,
there's other,
I just saying, I think we're doing other things besides form-based code in a few other minor things. Changing some of the district,
yeah, I mean, I was just trying to,
okay, it's fine, it's fine.
that was just the catch-all.
Okay. Under 3.2. 3.2. We find where it is, under action steps. Well, that's in the report, okay. There's just a typo, I think. Ensure town services ably meet. I wasn't sure what ably meet means.
Well, in the plan, it says specifically address the unique needs of individuals.
Yeah. So that, maybe that's in the
Maybe
report.
that's in the report.
Okay. And then the only other thing under 6.1, which is staffing, we talked about implementing where it says conduct staff assessment to analyze staffing needs, etc., about developing a 5-year staffing plan like the capital plan as one of the action steps.
And we have that in there and it got dropped.
Well, we talked about it as
Oh,
a
we
committee and agreed that it could
So that would
be there. Develop a 5-year staffing plan. Just a
Just
5-year
that,
staffing
yeah.
plan, yeah.
What's that?
The comment for you is it would be similar to the capital improvement plan that looks out 5 years.
Mhm.
Those are my only comments. I think it's great.
All right, hey Karen. Kind of, then we'll go to Roy. Any comments?
I have a couple. I guess first looking at goal 3.2 1.4, which it concerns the ADA trail. It says to be TBD. And last time I saw it, it said Sandy Meadow. So I'm not quite sure why it's now TBD in there. We might actually be finishing up that trail this year.
This year, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we have,
But we could put in language to identify additional, to do a project to identify additional areas where an ADA trail might be suitable. Yeah, if NHESP cooperates with us, we should have the trail in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Or
that was from the CPA funding, right, Karen?
yeah. We have the signs sitting in the from the previous CPA project. The signs are sitting in the conservation office waiting to be installed when we get the trail done. And we're just waiting on the last piece from NHESP. We have a contractor lined up and everything. So
Have there been other locations identified for other projects
we
yet?
we haven't, but that could be a good goal to look at. But in the meantime, the Sandy Meadow Trail was the specific one.
I'm just wondering if we could put at least one of the following priority trails.
Well, I don't want to make any promises because it's there. I think most of the places are areas where it's hard to put in a accessible trail.
How about complete, Sandy Meadow ADA accessibility trail and
evaluate-
explore, alternative or additional
Additional.
Evaluate.
Yeah.
options.
Evaluate,
Yeah,
'cause evaluate sort of means. you come to
Evaluate is good. Yes.
yeah, evaluate, perfect. Explore sounds too open-ended.
Right.
Exploring.
Yeah. That's yeah. And then yeah, in goal 1.2, looking at 1.4, there's a little bit of confusion in terms of which properties are what there. So Higgins area and Upper Boat Meadow are two separate properties. So it's the Higgins Conservation Area, and then Upper Boat Meadow is actually called the Southeast Town Conservation Area. And they're in opposite sides of the town. You couldn't get two conservation areas further apart. Yeah, that works. But Upper Boat Meadow, we actually call Southeast Town Conservation Area.
Oh, so that
The name's wrong there. Same
upper
spot,
part that should be southeast end.
Southeast Dam Conservation Area.
Do we want Upper Boat Meadow at all in parentheses, or that's not?
Yeah, we could put it in parentheses. That might help people understand.
And Karen, what about adding something around the work that we're doing around identifying properties to add to to preserve? As properties come up for sale, I don't know what the correct verb and object is, but we're in the open space committee, we're going through privately owned properties that if they come up for sale, they're adjacent to areas that we want to make sure we
Right.
continue to preserve, and it's not identified in here at all.
Yeah, it was originally more or less identified as acquiring additional open space properties, but that is no longer in here as an
Right.
item.
So
So we
putting it back in.
yeah, so we recently have taken our priority land identification plan and work around identifying properties and making sure that we have access when they come up for sale and getting all of those pieces more organized. We've taken that back up again, and it work around that had originally been in the plan, and I think it should be in there again.
Great.
So is that, I'm just trying to.
And I don't know if you had that considered as something that would come up under the OSRP.
Oh, that's
but
what I was wondering.
It seems to me that this is sort of a separate
bigger than
entity and bigger. Yeah.
It's bigger than that.
Well, I think we can still fit it under land management.
It should be under 1.2.
Yeah. I think so too.
I would put it
But I
back.
think we could do 1.7 here.
Yeah,
Because
Yep.
it's
Mhm.
feasibility study.
Yeah.
well, and related to that, I think we also had, in that same context of discussion, what opportunities we have for joint open space housing projects.
Right, exactly. We're looking at that
Right.
in our list.
Yeah,
Right.
but we also had and it kind of got put aside, discussion around municipal land use, housing land use, and conservation open space, and looking at available parcels to kind of, in some sense, divvy it up so that we're
Right, so
figuring
maybe-
out where we work together, where we work separately, and so we're not stomping on each other, and we're collaborating where we can.
Right. And so maybe,
Well-
Karen, that
Mhm.
1.7, to bring it up to a little bit of a broader level, is
Right.
is the evaluation of municipal owned land, potentially available land, whatever that right word is,
Mhm.
for conservation, open space, and housing.
Perfect.
Say that again.
Conservation, open space, municipal needs, and housing.
Open space,
Or-
Conservation.
Yeah,
conservation, and
municipal
housing.
needs and housing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we still need to finish that broader conversation.
Yeah, well, we had a really good, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago.
August 23.
Yeah, okay, so 2 years ago. year and a
Yeah.
half, joint meeting, and it was very, very helpful. We came up actually with a target list and recommendations to the select board.
Oh, I never saw that. I thought the last I heard it was kind of left open-ended with another meeting to come. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the part that I thought from that meeting was extremely beneficial, was to come up with a recommendation so that the select board didn't have to make one-off decisions.
Mhm.
Something happens and it's a fire drill, but
Right.
a prioritized list.
That's right.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
and I thought we
Yeah,
had the start of that. I don't know if it ever made its way to the select board, but I
Mhm.
recall that it didn't. Okay, but I recall in the
Yeah.
meeting, that's kind of what we were coming up with.
We're working off a list.
Right. So the Open Space Committee now has a little work group of me, Michelle, and Francis, who are looking back over this and putting together some kind of work plan on it. So we'll be reaching out.
Sure.
On
Someone
that.
from the Affordable Housing Trust could participate, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to go through what we have first, make sure we update our priority land ID list and so on, and also looking at how we might approach private property owners so that we're in conversation with the people who own the most important parcels
Right.
and things like that. So
I think that's
Yeah.
great. I think it's super. I would just add a slight word to yours, Paul, evaluation of land acquisition / use,
Mhm.
because we might.
Yes, because
Recommendations on
because
existing.
because that's also part of our review at the moment, that there are town-owned parcels that some of which are conservation open space that aren't listed that way in the assessor's database, and then there's other ones that we are interested in maybe trying to put under conservation restrictions or figuring out generally where things should be. So I think that whole broader conversation.
All right, other things, Karen?
Sorry, it's very small type on my screen. Yeah. Conservation, yeah. You want to add housing? Oh, I guess that's community development would be housing. Okay.
With other sections, other thoughts, Karen?
No, that was my main thing. Yeah, you do have, when you get to Thumper Town in here, it's not spelled correctly. It's one word, but I think you'll come back and look at all of that in the final check. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty good plan here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I have some comments. First of all, in terms of the annual town meeting, what document would be presented? Would it be that summary, executive summary, that we got, or
When we get
would it be the entire plan, what we have before us now?
Yeah, just good question, but hold that for the moment. I definitely want to get to that, but if we can
Okay,
plan and get your edits to that,
All right.
we'll get that part done.
okay, I'll go through the goals. Goal number 1.6. I don't know, I guess it's just semantics, but do you institute sewer regulations? Does that mean because we don't have any now?
Correct. Those
Okay.
need to be drafted.
And page 4, where the projects are listed. Now, will that be staff working with the Department of Public Works that would determine what 3 would be done?
Oh, for number.
Number
just
1.
Number 1, where it has the following areas, that's.
Yeah, well, apparently Wiley Park and Nickerson are started.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know what the process was but
The land management plans. The Open Space Committee has been working on that for a while, but for Wiley and Nickerson, we've had a forester come in to do an analysis, and we're waiting on the report. And it's kind of where we are with that land management plan at the moment.
yeah, I don't think there's any formal decision process on which ones get done. I don't know. I think it's just gonna happen organically, I guess. I don't know.
Wiley Nickerson is prioritized because that's the most used open space that we have, and we determined it's most in need of attention.
Right. I guess just was, I don't know what, when those are done, who decides which one to work on next. I'm not sure how that will work out.
Well, I would think it would seem to be the Open Space Committee and then Comcom signing off on it. Just because Karen custody.
I don't think we have to address it in this plan because it's
Right.
good. Yeah, those groups will figure it
Yeah,
out.
you have the staff assignment, so that's that's kind of the responsible party for.
Yeah, you might want to tuck Concom in there as well, because will be engaged with it. Only one M on Concom.
Okay, Karen. All right, Roy, other
I hate.
things.
Okay, we can move to
Yes.
goal 2.
Yes, I do too.
I'm sorry, Roy,
Can we move to goal 2,
goal 2, yep.
number 1? Okay, I think this second part of the first sentence, I believe it's adoption at the annual town meeting, right?
Got it?
Okay.
All got it?
um, Can we move to goal 3? Okay, 2.6. Right. Is that something you think the average citizen would understand what we're doing there?
Which part? The fact that we have opioid mitigation funding?
Right, maybe use opioid mitigation funding to address um, to address harm reduction, opioid prevention, recovery and treatment programs. I'm just trying to think of the average person seeing this, what questions they would have. What do we mean by that?
Mhm.
I was gonna say, like, to me, but this could be because I am familiar with it, so, what is? I mean, harm reduction actually is probably the one thing that some people on the street might not know what that is. What if we took harm reduction out and just said, use opioid mitigation funding for prevention, recovery, and treatment? I mean, it's
That
first back
works.
to opioids, so that's all.
Mhm.
Because harm reduction, I think, falls under that. I don't think we'll lose a lot by taking harm reduction out.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I
Okay.
noticed that doesn't have anything in the funding column. But I know that there were definite funds specifically for the opioid
Those were the settlement
mitigation.
funds.
Yeah, so maybe that should go in because
I guess,
there
yeah,
are people who are very concerned about where funding is coming from. I know there's a petition article on the warrant looking at that. So anytime we can put in a nod to where the funding is coming from, so people might understand that it's not coming from more taxes.
Got it. So that we can fill in,
yeah,
right?
so
It's-
there's
Yeah,
still
yeah,
line ones, I
yeah.
guess, back with the
Yeah.
appropriate step.
Mhm.
What is it? It's the settlement funding, but maybe there's a better word for
Mm-hmm.
that, so they'll know. Okay, so that will get filled in, but good point. Okay, Roy, back to you.
Okay, goal 4. 4.1. My question was on 4.1.
Where, what?
Oh,
Oh, further down, I see.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
yeah. That is maybe a little confusing.
Yeah.
Some of them are marked. Yeah, we've got a goal 4, and then 4.1 within that, and then under that additional numbers. So if you're referring to a 4.1 without adding it's sort of like looking at regulations. You have to go 4.1 comma something comma
Yeah,
parentheses something parentheses something else. So as we're talking through it, I'm realizing it's a little
Yeah,
challenging.
and actually 4.1 new housing units. Property management and rehab and redevelopment. Would they be considered new? I get,
Well,
Well,
these
you can
are-
do renovations at
You
the,
are.
rehabbing them to bring them on as new.
Yeah,
units.
yeah, okay.
I guess redevelopment would be converting something into new.
Yeah.
yeah. So if we go back to the confusing section 4.1. Noted that is just an organizational challenge, but maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts there, Roy?
well, I think that organizationally, maybe that's new development. Do you need the point one? Just that statement underneath it?
I'll just move this into the,
Well,
No,
I would, or again, organizationally, I would kind of leave it like it is.
Okay,
maybe after we finish agreeing on all the words, maybe that's something Hope and Paul and maybe Paul having a fresh set of eyes like Jackie or Stacy to read through and just look for those kinds of organizational issues,
Yep,
and typos and those kinds of things.
Yep.
Let's just,
Or yeah, I might even suggest running it past somebody who hasn't seen it before.
that's what I'm saying, fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jackie's seen it, and I don't know if Stacy's seen it, but somebody entirely new.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good at editing.
Yes.
Mhm.
okay, we can move on to goal 5. Okay, upgrade Route 6 signals in Brackett Road and Sampson Road to receive external generators? What does that mean?
it means the infrastructure at the lighting, the wiring, whatever needs to get updated so that they can operate when the power's down,
It's backup power.
backup.
Mhm.
Plug into mobile generators so that traffic keep moving through.
So it's to connect to generators, is that it?
Yes, but upgrade whatever, I don't know, upgrade the wiring or whatever on the actual traffic signal poles.
So
So
you
you
want
can
to,
plug generators
yeah,
into
you
it.
want to replace receive with connect? Is that your question?
Well,
Yes,
Okay.
but that might imply that they're going to be connected all the time, and it sounds maybe like they'll be connected as needed.
Just provide backup
so-
power supply for
Yeah.
those. Yeah, that's what it is.
To provide ability to connect backup
To
power,
Yeah.
or to
Right.
provide ability to connect external generators.
Well, you're doing good.
Who knows if it's generators? There are other backup power.
Well, right,
So
but yeah,
whatever. It's fine.
This was what was in the housing mitigation.
Yeah, this is what it
Yeah.
was called, so we're just being
So-
internally consistent with terminology. Along the right.
so when you go to the reference, cross-reference on the plan, the language will be.
I think backup, the word
Yeah.
backup is important.
So
on
it's just a
power.
backup instead of external, and then
Yeah.
people know.
And then
Well,
make them change
well,
the other plan.
If you use both, then
Not
back- why don't you, I'd leave external. because then when somebody goes to look at the other plan, there'll be some consistency.
Fine, okay.
Or you could put it in parens.
It's
How about
just-
that?
there's a
Backup
market.
parens, external.
There's a market for backup power.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
All right, Roy, thank you. Next one.
Okay,
Oh.
just want to check goal 5.
But I'm in favor of consistency of language between this plan and the other ones, because a lot of the time, when I'm reading materials related to another plan, the language is so changed that when I go to look at the original plan, it's referencing, I can't find what they're talking about. So
We need to
consistency
update
of
that. We need to update that hazard plan anyways, so that
Mhm.
won't be a change. But
All right,
that's fine, that's why.
yeah,
Process.
yeah,
right.
okay. Roy, what have you got on goal 5?
I'm okay with it.
Oh, okay. Have-
We just did goal 5.
oh,
And goal,
sorry.
goal 6,
Goal
I'm
6,
okay with
sorry.
that. I just wanted to go back to goal number 3, if we could. Because after I've read through this thing a couple of times, I'm just wondering if we can get the wording support healthy lifestyles. Because I think that's the objective here. And maybe it can worked into number 2. Collaborative services that support healthy lifestyles. I think that's the objective here. Of all the things we've got there. And I thought working in somewhere near healthy lifestyles. Maybe on number 2, just after collaborative services that
2.3,
support healthy lifestyles.
can we do it under 2.3? The communication and outreach to support healthy lifestyle?
That would be fine. That
Wasn't
would
that
be
what
fine with me.
2.4 is?
Yes. Kind of, oh, that's a good point, so promote, yeah, oh, good, what if we did promote healthy lifestyles, including, plus there could be other things, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Does that work for you, Roy?
That works fine.
Okay,
Thank you. And that's it for me.
Great.
awesome, thank you. All right, looking across the table, I am.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
Edit away.
Everybody's already done the hard work, so that's what's good about going last. 2.1. Just really a question for Paul, on number 5. The launch an early awareness campaign to inform residents about the upcoming wastewater and development projects. Is it just related, is that one just related to the Northeast Ham Village Center master plan? Or is that a broader one that belongs in goal 1? Around wastewater?
That's a good question.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it's only limited to this particular project. Because that's really important to me. The wastewater stuff, the communication around it, the awareness around it.
No, I think it probably could go in the general wastewater.
Yeah.
So isn't that something that could exist in both locations?
It could, but yeah, I mean, the launch part of it, I think, belongs in
Mhm.
wastewater. And because the Northeast Dam thing, could go on and on. Let's hope something happens. with it.
Yes. We want
I
things-
want sure
we
this
want
one
things to
happens.
happen.
And so much else is predicated on this happening that, and I think the awareness part of it, I mean, I just kind of function just like as a resident thinking about, like Roy said. Okay, you got it?
Mhm.
You're great. PowerPoint skills. And then on 2.2, number 2, and this is as a planning board person. On number 2, I would put and implement. It says analyze regulatory options to better manage rentals and other commercial uses of residential property. I would like it to say and implement. I mean, in 5 years, you would think we could do more than just analyze. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sensitive to commercial use of residential property. Yep, so 3.2, 2.2, I just don't understand what that is. Develop opportunities to increase usage of Rock Harbor. For what reason? I mean, I know Rock Harbor and increase usage, increase,
So that's.
Commercial
in the harbor
usage.
plan. So what,
Yeah,
what was
I
in
don't,
the harbor plan? Yeah, that's where we get.
okay,
Yeah.
so maybe just more, we could just cross-reference to that, and I can do that too, just figure out, I don't know for what reason. So if I were answering a question from some,
Yeah.
community member, I would have no idea.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Ugh.
and then, 3.2 under 3.1. Just public programming, collaborate with other community service departments and organizations to provide public programming to year-round residents. What does that mean? Public communication? Public programming,
They're actual programs.
And it's
A
under
walk,
the,
a festival.
recreational,
it's under the aegis
Education.
of the library. It looks like.
like,
Yeah, it has library directory, right?
recreational or?
Informational, educational.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
it's a big,
Okay.
big
yeah, you can
bucket.
put across a variety of
Departments,
areas.
areas.
Activities? I understand what
Well,
that
how
is
about
now.
public programs? Would that be clearer?
Public program sounds better. This sounds more like PBS.
Mhm.
Show all creatures great.
I know, right?
All 24/7.
Yeah.
Just together.
Street.
That's okay with me. All the
I'm
the reruns
like,
too.
oh, good. I got Sesame Street in the
Yeah,
off season.
Feel better someday.
Okay, and then, let's wait, then I skipped a lot because Roy and Karen did all the rest of it, and Carolyn. Thank you. And then I have one more on, all the way to goal 6. Point 3, and then number 3, 3.1. It says schedule at least one joint meeting among representatives, blah, 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 and ensure all efforts are aligned with strategic plan. I added the word annually. Because if in 5 years, we only have one joint meeting,
Does that, is,
Well,
good question.
oh,
Going to
it's,
annually and ongoing, like, it doesn't go into different columns. Not that we shouldn't have annually, I'm just asking how.
I don't know what
Yes.
ongoing means. I just
Well,
thought like, yeah, go ahead.
3.2 says annually already, so under their regular annual committee. Oh, that's
That's with
for
the
that.
select
Okay.
board. This
One
is
joint.
among,
Oh, you're right. You're right. 3.1 should say annually.
right, this is
It says
among the
it says
committee.
annually on the. It says annually on
It says.
I
know.
annually.
the
Yeah.
It
on
already
the,
says
the
annually.
committee
So-
pages, but it doesn't say. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So if the time is in that second one, it should be in this first one. And I think part of the miss that we have is not just the tracking of it, but is in the coordination across groups
Right.
and across committees. So to me,
Mhm.
this is really important to do. And I, I think I like your suggestion. I also think putting it in the body of the,
Yeah, but it already says annually.
no, the 3.2 says
No,
annual.
3.1 does.
No, I just,
He
Oh, you
just
just-
put it in.
just,
No, in the
Just
second,
added that.
the second part of that, annually, committees annually. We got annually
There's
twice.
annually twice in the sentence now, that's all.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. You're very smart there, Carolyn. I didn't see that, so.
Well, I
right,
just,
that's it.
it jumped out when he did it because then it became the first word of the next line.
Well, I missed it, so I was like,
Yeah.
one meeting in 5 years does not work for me.
yeah.
And it should
It's
be
more,
at-
I think it's more clear at the beginning of the sentence than later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Anyway,
Got it.
That's it.
That's it?
Everybody else did all the work.
Awesome.
oh,
Good job,
So-
everybody. Woo-hoo.
I have one more thing, and that has nothing to,
Oh,
and that has nothing to do with the specifics in the plan, but
Yeah.
in the final version, all of these plans that are referenced in here and are at some place in the web. This is going to be a web plan, this page, and we're going to all of those plans that are referenced in here going to have a link, a clickable link. And I'm not talking about in the column where it refers to specific parts of each of those plans, but just something so that when you maybe spell out the abbreviation somewhere, that you also have a link to click on to go directly to the
Yeah,
plan.
from a link embedded in this plan.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
should put
Yeah.
hyperlink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to suggest that we have a link embedded for each one of the parts of those plans that are in that column with specific items, but just generally a link so that we don't have people struggling to figure out where to find all of these things.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have that,
Yeah.
maybe it's at the end, the appendices, we just list all of the, spell out the names of all of it, and then I can hyperlink it there.
Can I just ask, are all of those plans 5-year plans as well? So if
No,
I looked at this plan and the hyperlink in 2028, would that plan that it's linked to still be valid? Or does that require updating?
not, well, a lot of them are 5-year plans, not all of them are. And
Mhm.
they don't always get updated every 5 year. I mean, sometimes this depends on.
And they're not on
Well-
the same cycle.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
almost all of them would be updated sometime in the next 5 years.
Got it.
But that gets to, I think, your earlier point that we need to get to is what's the role of this committee? Because
Right.
to your point, as each of these plans is updated or not, or should be, do the people responsible come back and present that to this committee so that our document can be up, so everything is internally consistent.
Right.
So the next item on the agenda is discussion on town meeting warrant insert. And I think some of this gets to your question that you raised earlier, Roy, is what are we sharing with whom, how, which is a really good question. So do we just share the matrix with everybody? Do we have some form of this report that this is a draft just as a starting point that gets put in the warrant or gets put on the website? And I'm open. I think this kind of the shortened version is easier. It's more accessible for people who don't want to go into the detail, but both are important. So I'll stop.
Well, technically, what gets approved? It's the long version of the strategic plan.
Well, none of it gets approved by town meeting.
That's right, that's right.
What about select board?
Yes.
Yes,
Select
Yeah.
board. So they would need, I think, the
The full.
detailed.
Mhm.
but I think they also need a summary report, which I have some comments on, that
Mhm.
sets up why we did what we did, how we did it, and what any major findings are, major overarching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, the way we've restructured it, et cetera. Some of which you've done in
So
here.
There was a good summary that came out last year. It was a,
Oh, the community update, which is not the same as this. So what's been going in the warrant is a look at some of the projects that have been done out of the strategic
Right, that was like
That's an
almost a
update.
PR piece.
yeah, it
to me,
looked
like
like.
Yeah.
a marketing piece.
Yeah, it
PR
was a
marketing, yeah.
it was, yeah, something of a PR piece, but it's also that people are interested to know that this kind of work is producing results.
Absolutely.
So
That's good.
No,
But
no
that's a.
and I think people are maybe more interested in results than necessarily how it's getting there. There'll be the people who want to look at the whole plan, and I've certainly talked to people who have looked at the plan, but I think most people want to know that we're actually doing something. And,
Absolutely, I think all those
so-
things are in place.
so, that's why I think that insert works. People really like it as well. So,
I think so, but I think really
Yeah.
talking about three things, perhaps.
Yeah,
What you send out, the draft report.
Yep.
Which, again, for anyone who wants to, including the select board, says, this is why we're doing what we're doing, this is who did it, this is the process we used, this is the outcome, and since it has a different structure, how we're doing the different, with the SMART objectives, et cetera. I think that's really helpful for anyone who's the type of person who wants to read, how did you get to the conclusions that you made?
Mhm.
Then you have the actual strategic plan, which is the document we just looked at.
Mhm.
And then you have what you were just talking about, that was like what was in the warrant last year, which is a summary of the accomplishments in the last year that are related to the strategic plan and the overall, goals of the town. So I think there's sort of three different things for three different purposes.
Agreed. Totally agree. So,
Paul?
My thought was that the executive summary,
Which is what this would be kind of be.
mhm.
that gets into the plan, that's.
Gets into the
Plan.
Yeah.
Executive summary, obviously, then you get into all the charts.
Yes,
But that executive summary could be used in the
warrant.
warrant.
And
as
the-
updated.
And this is what would, the executive summary report is what would go
In the
into the
warrant.
warrant.
Both be. That would be the update in the warrant, and that is also.
Part of the plan.
document thing.
So the detailed document, this would be on top, in front of the detailed document as the beginning of the whole plan.
Right.
Right.
Do that, final version of that, and then all the charts.
Right.
And then we'd have the. Whatever at the end, the appendices and the links and all that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. I would, I like that
okay,
plan.
okay. And then.
I'm saying, I don't know the status of doing. The stats, like for the update in the warrant. We had like the results, the stats, so the numbers and all that stuff. I don't know. The status of gathering that data, so that's why I wanted to have, at
Mhm.
least this group could provide. That executive summary as that's what we've been doing over the past year, which is updating the plan.
Right.
If,
Yeah,
okay, I think Jackie is. Reaching out to staff to gather some of that stuff. I just don't know what that's gonna be. I'm not involved in that, so at least I wanted to have something from this group. That we could give to Jack and say, please put this in the warrant, at least that explains
Yes.
what you. If
Yes.
you have all the other stats and the success story stuff, that's fine, but I haven't. Been involved in doing that, so I have no idea what.
Mhm.
It's gonna be in that.
Okay.
And then, okay. Oh, right.
Roy. how's it coming?
Sorry. Right,
Okay, just a couple of comments on the strategic plan development of page 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is the other.
this is the other
work-
document, right?
So are we going into that now?
Right.
or we decide?
So, well, we can go through that and then we'll decide if we all agree that that's what we submit to go into the warrant.
Okay.
Okay.
And also we need to think about what we're giving and when to the select board.
Yeah.
Okay, Roy, sorry.
So page 3, paragraph 4. You got a hanging sentence there, important items that were.
Oh.
And
Okay,
then-
I have no idea. Thank you.
I guess this is.
And
Sorry, I just
go ahead.
didn't. Carry through with the SMART objectives.
True,
No,
Entirely, yeah.
not entirely,
so
but
I know that
they're smarter than they were, how about that?
I agree, I'm saying, yeah, we kind of just. Kind of cut our losses on trying to make them all SMART objectives, exactly.
Well, at some level, maybe a way to think about this is that we made them
Measurable,
measurable and we made them
time bound.
And
time
actionable.
oriented. And we made them,
Yeah, if
I
you're,
think
if
that's
we're all
fine.
agreed that we keep the.
No, I think we
smart
I
should say
think so.
I'm
those.
fine with
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it.
think
Everyone feels that's.
and the expectation is that because the follow through will be taking each one of those and developing the work plan, so to speak.
Yeah.
That is even more
Mhm.
specific, measurable, attainable, accountable. Yeah, so I'm comfortable with, we made a big progress.
Yeah. But you may want to,
Mhm.
you know, truncate that and just say, you know, the objectives were reworked to be incrementally measurable and, you know, results oriented. You know, or
Can we just say measurable?
yeah,
Rather than
measurable,
incrementally, that's all, because I'm.
Mhm.
or just more measure. Well, I think there's a pre-paragraph that goes in here. Honestly, I know that we're not doing a scorecard of the last 5-year plan, but this one is significant in that it's a new 5-year plan. It's not just the next update of a
Right.
5-year plan. And then there are things that we did differently in this one that we learned from not doing them potentially in the one before, one of which was it's, you know, we don't have to use the word incrementally, but it's measurable now. You know, so I think there's a paragraph that might precede or be the first paragraph in page 1 executive summary.
Mhm.
And that's a 2-paragraph section. The first section, the first paragraph would refer to the other plan without a whole scorecard associated with it and just say, well, from what we learned, you know, here are the things that we focused on in creating this document.
So,
Mhm.
not up there, but the first.
The cross-referencing of other plans, the measurements, you know, the 3 or 4 things that we did more of, differently or less of.
Mhm. Yeah, the first plan was measurable, just not in a very intuitive, useful.
Well, that's why I use the word incremental.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I say we didn't do that at all, and now we are. It's more, you know, here are the things that we learned, we added, and we improved.
And what did you think? And what,
Yeah, it was measurement, what else?
I said the
Well,
cross-referencing to
that's
the,
everything? Oh, no, I thought you
Oh,
had a second.
I did,
go
but
with
I
the
just
second
got.
paragraph.
This is the second, you know, I mean,
Then it would go into what, yeah.
whatever, and then we wordsmith. You could even
Right.
use the town of Eastham is committed to sustainable growth, enhanced public services and community well-being, or whatever the pillars are that we're saying. And let's make sure they're the same from the ones that they say over here. Honor
Yeah.
Eastham's history, live in
Yeah.
harmony, you know, those things. And then you reference the prior 5-year plan, you say what we learned from that and was great. And we chose to, you know, take action and create more measurement and this and that and the next thing in this plan.
Yeah. So what do we want to say about what we learned? I think
Yes,
one
that's
of
what
the
should-
It goes.
one of the things.
It's
Right.
1.1 and then, you know, it's like, it's not 1.1.
It's just the second paragraph, or change it, or I don't know.
I think it's the first paragraph.
It's the first paragraph, but you keep the first line of this paragraph. Then you insert that language. What I just kind
Right,
of said.
and then this
And
becomes,
then this
the second
becomes the second paragraph.
Right.
And then that's the
Mhm.
ramp up to the new 5-year plan.
All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure.
No,
I got
but I
it.
mean,
Yeah, did you
to me,
get-
I'm just
but-
thinking about it, if I'm reading this after reading the glossy thing from last year, and there isn't even a reference to that plan, I think there should be one.
right.
Yeah, but and
Because we
I think
didn't
it's
start
important
from
to,
this paper.
right.
was
I
that
think
there?
it's important to note that was the first plan was our first ever 5-year short-term projects plan, and from that we
This
learned
sentence, then that text,
Oh,
then.
a lot. We learned a lot from trying
Yeah,
to
we did.
implement
Well,
that,
and I
and
think that's the reason-
overall it was very successful, I think. But from that, we learned that you can't give the timelines that we had didn't work, and we've reevaluated that
Right.
approach in this plan.
Right.
We learned that while we have great committees in Eastham, that it's very hard for them to move work forward without enough staff support.
Well, I think you
or
frame it
language to that, yeah.
You frame it in a positive way.
Oh, yeah.
Right, right. That
That more,
yes.
cross committee collaboration, more
Right.
frequent,
Right, I'm not,
check-ins.
right, I'm not wordsmithing at the moment,
No,
but yeah. And we learned a lot about trying to put matrix and measurements of progress into the plan, and we've rejiggered that. I mean, yeah, I'm not wordsmithing, as I said, but
So-
and so this plan looks more, and we had too much detail in how projects would be executed in the first plan. This plan is more broader picture, and giving the plan implementation to the responsible departments, committees, and others that are assigned to each project.
Yeah, so, well, I think Hope has it, that we keep the first line and then we insert
So-
the red.
Yeah.
So it's less top down on project implementation.
So Karen, can we say that
Yeah.
there's been more staff development in this plan than in the previous plan?
There's a lot, yeah, and I think we can say that there are new areas covered in this plan, including, I would say there's staff development in there, but an added focus on public health, on climate, on communication within town hall, but also with the community.
I think that's great, yeah.
Mhm.
And Paul's given the speech so many times that, you've kind of given the speech around this, where we were and where we are and what are the changes. And
Yeah, I would put that right up at
I
the
agree.
opening paragraph or two.
All right, I think I got it.
Do we want to just talk more process and then maybe we can go back and do more, or do you want to get through all the edits on this? Doing a time, I can go till 11:30.
11:30.
I mean, this was supposed to be an hour, right?
Oh, I
So,
thought it was 2 hours.
was it?
Yeah.
She said.
It did,
It said it
okay,
started at
that's fine.
10, but we should be respectful of time no matter what. So,
Mhm.
all right, so I've got changes to that opening paragraph, which I will make.
Mhm.
You have other big changes, because let's go through some big changes. And then we're gonna talk about next steps. Because I think that's really important before we adjourn, so we'll try and do that. Karen, what are your big
Well,
comments?
Well, I was,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Karen.
well, I just was going to ask about the demographic information in here. Do we want to include the fact that we have 55% of property ownership, 45% of properties are owned by full-time residents and 55% are not.
Right.
I'm putting that in a nice politically sensitive
I have the same thought,
language.
Karen.
Mhm.
Under these, sort of in this section here,
Mhm.
I think we should be providing statistics and analysis that
Mhm.
support the actions we're taking in the plan.
Sure.
So they
Yeah.
a little more substance. And I
Mhm.
printed out for you, Hope, from the market study, which has a lot about the economics of the town in it. And then the
Mhm.
house production plan, some key demographic statistics and housing statistics that you can just cut and paste as you see fit. But it'll add a little bit, for someone who's never read anything about the town, we need, in this section, I think we need to make the case for the things that we're doing,
Right.
okay?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna
Right.
do this, and that's for you,
Thank you.
related to that. And then, so that's under
Mhm.
part 3. Then I would suggest we need
Yeah.
a part 4 somewhere. I think it's 4, which is a section that talks about the challenges that the town is facing. Because
Mhm.
that's also a key part of all the activities in the plan. You know, wastewater and the environmental issues
Mhm.
that we face,
Mhm.
the housing issues that we face,
Right.
aging of our population and losing workforce. Those are big challenges that in the next 5 years,
Mhm.
the town has to deal with and respond to and react to. And so I think having a section, I don't know if it's called challenges, to your point of being positive,
Yeah.
but these are the big picture items that the town's going to have to react to and deal with in the next couple of years. And I think wastewater, environment,
Oh.
the aging of the population and losing workforce and housing, I think those are the major topics.
Yeah. Well, the coastal resiliency part, because we're 25% of the town is in a floodplain, and that's going to increase.
Well, that's
The
part of the
coastal hazard. Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
I
I'm
think,
not sure, I'm not sure people really understand the extent of the stressors.
that would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, I gave you some key statistics from the housing stuff that you can pull into that. That's on the thing I handed you. That, you know, like 80% of the houses were built before 1980 and are going to need to have, you know, renovations. In our major downtown area, I forget, Paul, the statistic, but the percentage of the buildings that were built before 1980 and they're going to need renovations and rehab.
Mhm.
Just let me ask you what you think. The state, current number 3 is the state of the town.
Right.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
That's the state of the town, and I just.
It goes under there.
It
Yeah.
goes under there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
the statistics that I popped in there are just part of it, and I need to really blow that up and make it
Right.
better.
And I
Okay.
think that the statistic around the year-round population versus the seasonal population
Right.
is
Mhm.
significant.
That's a big demographic
It's
issue
huge.
and a
the
housing issue.
Yeah.
Impact, right,
It's
exactly.
both.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
The other, it's a small point, but I think it's important on page 3, the foundation building. The process began by utilizing the existing plan and then referencing individual plans. I don't think we just referenced individual plans. We worked hard to incorporate actions and recommendations from the major other existing plans. We didn't just reference them. They were the
Well,
building blocks of what we did.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so I think that needs beefing up a little
And
bit.
it's aligning to,
It's aligned with, but we
Mhm.
started with, what did
Mhm.
those plans say?
right.
Because those
Yeah.
are the plans. There's
That
a,
is,
that is the
that,
plan,
those are,
right?
Yeah.
There's a really good list, and I would even include it here, just even though we reference them later. But the one that we used in the zoning that Mary has in her report, it's just a list of all the plans that we have.
Mhm.
It's not it's, you know, I don't know, 10.
Yeah.
But it's very impressive when you see that, all those plans that have been created.
Mhm. Right. This town does a great job of doing subject area specific strategic analysis and planning.
And our
and-
job has been to take those and pull them up into one overall plan.
The other
Yes.
thing would be the number of staff. I mean, if part of our objectives focus on excellence in town services and staff, so I think on the demographic side, you know, how many people work for the town of Eastham?
And that's actually one of the challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that,
Right. You know, here's a town of this many people year round, this many people seasonal, and there's, you know, what is it called? 15 people that run the town.
I do not think people appreciate
No,
how small and how hard you all
exactly.
are.
And I don't know if any granularity there, like this many police, this many fire, this, you know, because that's the protective services side too. I mean, I'm just thinking of what's in the plan that this page needs to kind of wrap around.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep,
That's
that
right.
makes sense.
And that's why that 5-year staffing plan is so important. because
Exactly.
We don't have a lot of staff.
Right, so when we're saying we're gonna do this, all this IT stuff and all this, emergency response stuff and
Mhm.
backup power and all that, you've got all these
Yeah,
5
No.
people.
not to
Right,
mention,
Paul?
We're all
Well, there's
gonna get-
Paul.
We're all gonna get a lesson about this.
right,
We added 4 police officers this past
Oh,
year.
yes.
Thing stop.
And we've also added IT staff.
it already is.
So
Oh, is
the
that right?
person who's overseeing IT is doing an outstanding job. She really is.
Didn't Angela left, right? So we have a new IT person?
Yes. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of time. We have 10 minutes. Do you have other,
I'm done.
you have, okay. So. I'm gonna try and do this and I'll circulate it to everybody. And I'll put this in, so. But I do want to leave before we get a chance to discuss in the next 10 minutes what our next steps are as a committee. What our responsibilities are. Paul, to Jackie, to the select board. So I had at some point a little chart that had a time frame, so. We also talked about a public comment period. I don't know if that's still on the table as something we want to do. And if so, when do we do that? And do we do that? And I know, Paul, you said that there's no hard and fast rules about what we do when, but we do it before town meeting? Do we do it before the warrant comes out? Like how do we sequence all that? And I don't know.
So, something to think about, we basically now, this is the 2025 to 2030 plan. We could
Mhm.
just think of it as we get this thing launched by July, fiscal year 2025.
Okay.
Just as a. If we do that, then I think, this is all gonna come together pretty quick. Finishing touches.
Mhm.
We can have the update in the town meeting warrant, and maybe we use the town meeting as a time to say the public info session and the public comment period. Kind of line it up that way so that the goal is to have this thing done and adopted by the select board by July 1. Then we have kind of May and June to want to have another public info session, and then we want to have a public comment period, and then it's kind of like our window. Yeah, it doesn't have to be exactly July 1, but whatever the July.
It'd be good to have a date. It'd make me feel better.
I don't know what,
Big date.
I don't know what date in July, in July, whatever date we get it on the agenda, but the target is to have it adopted by the select board in July, but it's just.
July 31st,
Just whatever.
by the end of the
But we're
month.
just basically looking at the rollout is fiscal
We just
year
said July 1.
2025, July. As kind of just-
Whatever.
At least that gets us in a window of we can communicate to people, the plan's done, here's public comment period, here's what we want to officially
Mhm.
get it endorsed.
Does this have to go to the select board before it goes in the town warrant?
We can provide it, yes. I don't know about getting on an agenda for a presentation, but we can certainly provide it in their packet. And I can talk to Jackie about whether they want to do something further than that.
This is just in my, no
Yeah.
surprises world, the select board shouldn't be what's this committee been doing?
Yeah.
So,
And if this summary is in there and they're asked questions about it at town meeting, they should
Or
have
that
some
any-
familiarity.
Yeah,
okay, so we're gonna,
and if it's in their packet with the idea that it would go in the warrant, and then between the warrant and July 1st, there would be a public comment period.
Mhm.
And then they would officially vote on it July 1st, because it doesn't have to be approved
Or-
at town meeting.
Or officially vote on it their first meeting in July,
That's what I.
or their last meeting in June.
Right,
all right, but we would want to get them something before this goes to the warrant. The warrant goes to the printer April 4th, is that still right? April 1st.
Okay.
So before April 1st, so sometime in March. So
Mhm.
should we just set a deadline for ourselves, like March 15th? We all are gonna
Mhm.
sign off on something's going to the select board.
So you on the report side and Paul on the other side, send it back to us. We'll just give you any comments.
Mhm.
And then empower you, the two of you, to
Mhm.
finalize it.
Is
Or
that-
are we having a meeting in March?
That's another very good question.
Well, can we finish on what I just said to
Yes.
see if that's agreeable to everybody?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if we were having a meeting in March, if we might come back to this for a final discussion ahead of when it's due for the warrant. So that's just working on what you're working on, Carolyn.
Um. So, I mean, I'm fine to have another meeting. It would have to be, I don't know. Somewhere in mid-March, because we want to, if there are more comments, we need to just make them and put them back out to the select board, so.
We picking a date?
Pick a day, like, what does March 12th look like to everybody? I'm just picking a day.
Mine's totally empty, so
That's a good start. Others,
that's
All afternoon.
Yep.
March 12th, Carol?
March 12th is fine.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay,
In the afternoon, is that what you said?
I'm good anytime afternoon.
Afternoon, okay.
Mhm.
2? Paul? All right, 2:00.
Looks like a bingo board there, Paul. 12 would give you a
I
score.
know, yeah, 12.
12 is a good one,
So are you sending an invite or what are we
because
just
we
putting
have
it
to.
on?
I'm gonna put this on here, but you have to post it, right, Paul?
March 12th, Wednesday, March 12th at 2.
Okay, so that will be our next meeting. We have 5 minutes left.
So what about the role of the committee? Is that when we're
Oh.
gonna talk about this?
I was gonna say, where were we?
I know, I'm like, I don't know.
The role of the committee, I don't know. If we
And
wanna-
2 hours, Hope, should we do 2 hours?
I think
Yeah.
that meeting should be
Yeah,
2 hours.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I.
That's
Down.
not, fine. I think we should talk about that, but maybe 5 minutes isn't enough, so we can maybe send that to the March meeting in terms of.
Well, maybe we can all come back with kind of ideas on what we think an
Mhm.
effective use of our time would be.
Okay.
You know, where we're not the police people, but we're more integrating and updating the plan so it's a living document.
And facilitating. some of the
Right,
process
exactly.
Yeah.
stuff like
And how we keep more in touch with what's going on with the projects, but also any additional new items that come up.
Right. And as things get, and also that public, not public programming, but public
Mhm.
awareness around, and that's what I was hoping, that we would also set some expectation with the public about
Mhm.
updating,
Yeah.
what's available to them to see that this is a living document.
Yeah, there had been some discussion about having a member or members of of this committee sit in on various capital projects committee meetings. That's
We
been
can-
brought up in the past.
That's the next.
Yeah, so
Put
that's
that
something
in
that,
the- So it's capital projects, but there may be other things that people want.
Okay.
Involved in.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's,
Do you want to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
oh, yes. Does anybody have any comments or edits to the minutes from the last meeting?
I haven't seen them.
Oh,
they didn't
maybe
get
we didn't get
distributed.
sent out.
I didn't see. 'em.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll do
let's
that next time.
distribute them and we'll pend approval.
Yeah,
and we'll
I didn't
both
see
sets of
them.
minutes in March 12th. So we'll get that out to everybody. Go on today's committee
Okay,
minutes.
Hey, Hope, the only other comment, sorry, I have on this one is, the summary document about the paragraphs and stuff. One of our guiding principles is to honor Eastham's history, and I'm wondering if there couldn't be a third paragraph that speaks to our history. You know, very short, like it was founded in 18, you know, whatever. Some contextual
Hey.
thing.
Not 18, 16.
16, that's what I, sorry. I'm looking at the time.
So you want a separate section with policy history of these?
You, either one. I mean, I just think that if that's one of our guiding principles,
Yeah, the plan doesn't really touch on much on that.
Paul has to go,
Okay.
right, so I'm just putting a note to myself.
and there
Maybe.
may be something in the 400-year report that you could just cut and paste.
Exactly. And I know the OSRP has some stuff in there
Yeah.
too. I'm sure it's a cut and paste. I can send you some stuff too.
Awesome. Okay, Paul had to step out, so let's adjourn.
Right.
It's time to go,
I move to adjourn.
okay?
Second,
All in favor?
Hi,
aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
thanks, Hope.